On this week's show, Batman Day, Japanese wrestling meets Hellboy, and J.J. Abrams' Spider-Man. Abrams? It doesn't matter. It's Previews World Weekly, and it's happening right now. What's up, Previews World? It's Wednesday, it's New Comic Book Day, which means it's time for Previews World Weekly. I am one of your hosts, Troy Jeffrey Allen.
And I'm Thea, and of course we're here every week to remind you guys to stop at a comic shop and get involved in what's happening in the world of comics. And if you're enjoying the show or you're here for the first time, be sure to give us a like and subscribe to keep the nerd news coming.
So last week, I think it was last week, you wore a BPRD shirt, right?
I did.
And I kept seeing comments off and on YouTube.
Yeah.
People were just like, oh, I love this shirt, I love this shirt. So, I mean, it's fair to say you're a Hellboy fan.
Just a little.
But you're not really a big wrestling fan.
No.
But, that was my segue. It just so happens that in order to promote the Hellboy movie in Japan, All Japan Pro Wrestling had a guy dress up like Hellboy and step in the ring, and he was basically involved in, I think it was like a four-way dance or like a tag team match or something like that. But I just thought it was worth pointing out.
It was very silly to watch.
You did get a chance to watch it.
I watched oh my gosh. It's just
He's got a tail and everything.
He has the costume looks pretty freaking great.
It does, actually. It's pretty impressive, yeah.
It's really solid, but it's so goofy at the same time. Like, watching him try and maneuver around in it was very entertaining.
Right, yeah. And I was looking up online, they listed his finishers. One was a lariat, and one was a frog splash, which I'm like, I guess that makes sense.
I don't know what either of those are.
But, well, the one is just a clothesline. The other one's, frog splash is just like leap off the top rope and smush the other person, basically. But the other one was a back fist, which I was like, okay, red right-handed doom. Yeah, okay, I'm with that. I just thought it was really interesting, like those little subtle cultural differences, because like if you want to get a movie over in Japan, wrestling's a big deal in Japan.
That's true.
I mean, it's a big cultural deal in Japan. Put Hellboy.
There you go. There he is.
Right. Also, thought it was interesting that Hellboy hasn't hit the Asian market yet. Like, so I'm not going to speculate and say that maybe it will do good, maybe it won't do good. I don't know, but I know it's interesting that we kind of like tend to call it here. Yeah. And there's still like a whole nother market that needs to like experience the film. So I'll be very curious how that movie does in Asia. So I don't know. It was just interesting. But I also wanted to point out that Batman Day is this weekend.
Yes.
And you actually have some details for us for Batman Day.
I do. So, I mean, your local comic shop may or may not be participating. If you want to check it out and make sure that they are, you can head over to comicshoplocator.com and you can find out if your local shop is participating. But it's a big old day. It's Batman's 80th anniversary. And that is this Saturday, to clarify, to make sure everybody knows. This Saturday, September 21st. And there are some free comics that you can get, we're showing you right now. And then there's also probably Batman-themed specials and giveaways and stuff. So be sure to check and see if your local guys are doing it and go out and check out what's happening, because it is a big deal for sure.
Absolutely.
I will be at my local shop in costume, doing the thing.
Who are you going to be? Are you going to be Batgirl?
Batgirl, yeah. Okay, I'm going to be Batgirl. It's going to be, I don't think we have a Batman.
Like showing
locally,
up at the store? Okay.
So it's going to be me as that person, and then we're going to have a bunch of villains.
Oh, there was, it just reminded me of, there was a guy who used to go to like children's hospitals dressed as Batman. He passed away. I remember that.
He's a good guy.
He was in Columbia.
He was part of the group that I go with, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's it's a great event. Like they've done it, I think, consistently for like the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because it is Batman's 80th. On top of that, it's the anniversary of 1989 Batman.
Oh.
So you're kind of getting a lot of things like kind of crisscrossing into each other right now.
Batman time.
It's Batman time. Also, Batman 1000 was this year as well. So
That's true.
It's a really good year for Batman. And the Joker's about to come out next month, I think it is. Soonish.
Hashtag soon.
So, yeah. And I actually found out, speaking of things you don't see that often, we were talking about Hellboy earlier, apparently they're going to be lighting the bat signal in Vegas, New York, LA, and another city I'm forgetting.
Major cities.
Yeah, all the major cities. So,
yep.
That's kind of cool. I think it's kind of awesome. Yeah.
Keep an eye out.
I thought that was neat. But let's talk more about comics.
Sure.
Anna Mia is here, and she's going to show us what's at comic shops. And when we come back, we'll give you guys our picks and some suggestions. Check it out.
Hey Previews World! Every week we give you the rundown of some of the books hitting the shelves for the first time. Here's what's at comic shops for the week of September 18th, 2019. And we're just getting started. The world of comics has even more to offer, so stop at a shop already, and you might just find your new favorite thing. See ya!
Thanks, Mia, and of course that's just a little bit of what's out this week. If you want to see a list that's a full rundown of what's available at your local comic shop, head on over to PREVIEWSworld.com/new releases. What you reading?
I feel like I just picked this like about 2 weeks ago.
Probably.
But I guess like they're fast tracking like issue 3. But Jimmy Olsen, Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen, number 3 is out this week, and I actually had a chance to finally catch up and actually read number 2. Yeah, it was like about 2 weeks ago. I feel like it was like really recently.
It was recently.
Yeah, but it's a fun book. Like it's kind of like I mentioned before, it's a Superman book that I didn't realize I wanted, but I'm glad that it exists. Like it's kind of like getting into the Olsen family line, which is a little bit bizarre.
Yeah, you've been saying that you like the idea of things outside of Superman, but still in the realm of Superman.
Right, yeah. I mean, I've always been a big fan of world building, and like it's always fun to kind of get like different perspectives about things.
Yeah.
And they did this really neat thing in the last issue where Superman promised Jimmy an exclusive, and he's all like, "I'm going to show you my superpower, my secret superpower," and it was actually like, what do you call it, up close magic. Like it was just him. It was just him doing like little like stupid magic tricks, like parlor tricks.
I love it.
But it was like it was quirky and it's fun, and like I'm looking forward to number 3, and like it seems to be like about 4 or 5 stories in one book, like basically 26 pages. But I imagine that eventually they're all going to converge into one big plot. So it's a maxi series. It's 12 issues. Yeah, Jimmy Olsen's pal Superman. Check it out.
Yeah.
Cool. What else what are you looking forward to?
We're all surprised. Ready? Hellboy.
There you go.
Speaking of Hellboy, we have Hellboy and the BPRD Saturn Returns. So this is the second issue of this little series, and it's a little fun one. It's about a small town in New Hampshire, and there are a bunch of disappearances that have happened.
Okay. Yeah.
So they bring in Hellboy and Agent Kinsley from the BPRD, and they're sort of trying to solve the issue of what's happening in this little tiny town.
Nice.
And of course it's going to be something supernatural because it's Hellboy.
It's Hellboy.
And the BPRD.
Right. And it's a small town.
And it's a small town in New Hampshire.
In New Hampshire, you're right.
It's always supernatural in New Hampshire.
Either that or Rhode Island, so there you go. Yeah, that's how it works.
Absolutely.
I'm like, I need to read more of these BPRD miniseries. Like,
I love them.
Yeah. Again, it's another one. Like, I like Hellboy, but like the idea of the BPRD as a whole is something to really kind of like, I'm like, I want to know more about that. Yeah. So. Yeah, I actually might co-sign that based off of your suggestion. One other thing I'm looking forward to this week is there's a book called Black Panther and the Agents of Wakanda. And yeah, I'm really excited about this. I saw that they announced it like a couple of months back. It didn't get a lot of shine, but it's Jim Zub, who traditionally writes pretty amusing, pretty entertaining stuff. It's Lan Medina, who's actually a really good artist. He's been around for a long time. Cool. And is basically promising that they're going to handle the things that S.H.I.E.L.D. can't.
Nice.
Right, and it's T'Challa, it's Okoye, it's Gorilla Man, it's Kazar, and oddly enough, the Wasp. Like I kind of get the jungle theme with all the other characters, but
suddenly Bug.
Right, but suddenly, I guess the Wasp.
She fits.
Yeah, it kind of fits that theme. Actually, that's a good point. So yeah, I'm actually very curious. It's just weird enough that I'm like very curious where this is going to go, and like it kind of looks like something that might be like a surprise. Like a pleasant surprise to read, so definitely check that out. What else are you looking forward to?
So I've talked about this book before on the show. It's Fair Lady, and they've come out with the trade. So this is volume 1 of the trades. This collects issues 1 through 5, and this story is fun to me. It's a sort of fantasy realm where they've just finished having an epic war. And this woman went undercover as a man so that she could join the army to fight for the cause. And the war's over, so she's returning home to the Feld, which is where they live, and she wants to become what's known as a fairman, which is a specially licensed PI.
Okay. Yeah.
And of course, it's not a job for ladies.
Right.
So she's teasingly called a fair lady. Yeah. And because she's the only woman, she gets all the jobs that nobody wants. Yeah. So she gets all these weird, interesting, strange
like assignments, like that she has to solve and stuff like that.
Yeah, that she has to solve, exactly.
Okay, that's a cool one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember like you were big on the first issue, so yeah, like I actually probably need to get you the rest of that.
Yes, please.
Yeah, no problem. I can do that. Some other stuff to look forward to. Flash Forward is out this week. I know a lot of people were a little salty about the outcome of Heroes in Crisis because it involved Wally West. Ooh. I can kind of sympathize because like Wally West was my Flash for the longest time. Sure. Like he was Flash in the 90s. That was the one that I started reading. Yeah. But it looks like what they're going to do is kind of unpack the fallout from that. But also, the one thing that was interesting about this that I read in the synopsis was that basically DC had their rebirth event like a few years ago, where basically they kind of leveled the playing field, wiped out the previous continuity, had a new continuity. And Wally West, his whole motivation for a lot of things that have happened to him recently is like he was wiped out of the multiverse. Like he just didn't exist.
Boy, bye.
So yeah, exactly, right, yeah. So I mean, I guess the question at the heart of this is like, well, why does he exist? But also like, how is he going to get back his previous life? And also it's a redemption arc because he did some pretty awful stuff in Heroes in Crisis. So yeah. Yeah, I haven't read Flash in a while, and I'm actually very curious about this, so that could be a fun one.
Nice.
What else should people look forward to?
Spider-Man. So this is the book that everybody has been anticipating in one form or another.
In one form or another, yes. This is true.
So this is J.J. Abrams and his son, Henry, and they're joined by Sarah Pichelli as artist, and it's a new Spider-Man story, so get on it.
Yeah, and also saying, I guess what, it was Abrams's? Abrams. I'm gonna start saying Abrams-I, because there's two of them, so.
Abramsies.
Right, there's a whole clan of them, so why not?
Multi-Abrams project.
Right. Yeah, sure. There you go, actually it's probably the easiest way to say it. But yeah, no, they're promising a new villain, Cadaverous, and like, yeah, it's, Sarah Pichelli is like actually a really great artist. Like, always been a fan of her stuff since Ultimate Spider-Man, so. Now we have actually there's a trade coming out this week called Lopper. It's actually volume 3, so the previous volumes have been released at your local comic shop. But we have a trailer for you, so if you haven't caught up to this one, it's actually a pretty cool book. Check it out, Lopper from Image Comics. That was a trailer for Lopper from Image Comics. It's written and drawn by Andrew McLean. And like, which I always find impressive. I'm always kind of like floored when people are able to like write and draw, because it just seems like a lot. Like, I mean, like, you know, I've done the comic book process before. It's a lot on one end of it.
Sure.
So to like be able to do all those things, I'm always like floored by. But yeah, it's a cool like sword and sorcery book, and like, yeah, definitely check it out if you haven't already. It's been going for a while. Each issue is typically about 60 pages, which is also kind of nice, and actually for a really good price. So yeah, it's actually worth checking out. If that's something that you're into. If you like Conan or like, you know, any other sword and sorcery stuff, it's right up your alley. But now it's time for news. So Thea's going to take us down all the stuff that's happened in the last 7 days. Actually, not all of them, but all the highlights at the very least. Here's the news section. Check it out.
Best-selling writer and comic book icon Frank Miller will add yet another incredible chapter to his Dark Knight legacy this December, as DC announced plans to publish a sequel to the acclaimed Dark Knight 3 Master Race. Dark Knight Returns, The Golden Child is a 48-page prestige format one-shot, featuring art and cover by Raphael Grampa. The story takes place 3 years after the events of Master Race, where Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Carrie Kelly, and Lara Kent overcame the renegade priest Quar and his cult of Kandorian fanatics in their bid to convert humanity into worshipping them as gods. To learn more about Dark Knight Returns, The Golden Child, head over to the PREVIEWSworld website and catch it in stores on December 11th.
The thing I'm excited about the most with this is actually the inclusion of Raphael Grampa.
Yeah.
Like, he did a book called Mezzo. Yes, Mezzo. And actually, it just so happens that we just did a Know Your Heroes video where we mentioned some of the toughest characters, and actually his comics is included on that list. Cool. So definitely keep an eye out for that. Should be dropping this week, actually. Yeah, but like Raphael Grampa is an awesome artist. I love his artwork, yeah.
For sure. Image Comics is pleased to announce a new ongoing science fiction thriller series, 20XX, by Jonathan Luna and Lauren Keeley, set to hit shelves this December. 20XX imagines a not-so-distant future, a world of norms and Sims, divided by fear. Sims, a small percentage of the population with telekinetic abilities, form gangs to survive. But division only breeds more division, and Mare and Nuon experience this firsthand as they become entangled in the often dramatic, sometimes violent, but always complex social landscape of sim gang rivalries in Anchorage, Alaska. 20XX #1 will be available in comic book shops December 4th.
Nice. And also shout out to, well, I guess they're kind of our hometown guys, Luna Brothers. They're in Virginia, so
close enough.
They're close enough.
DMV.
DMV. There you go. We can claim them. But yeah, no, it's cool. And also, it looks like them and Image kissed and made up because they had a little bit of beef before. But they've done great stuff. Like they did a book called Girls. They did a book called Ultra, which was actually really good. Like, and it's like Sex and the City with superheroes. But it was, it's not something I think I would have liked, but it actually turned out to be really entertaining, a really cool book to read. So.
Very cool. Yeah, this looks like a really interesting book.
Yeah, well, I mean, typically they put out great stuff, so something to look forward to.
Yeah. Earlier this year, the Conan franchise made its grand return to Marvel, and since then, fans have been thrilled by titles like Conan the Barbarian, Savage Sword of Conan, and Age of Conan, Belit and Valeria. With 2 Conan titles debuting in the top 10 of their respective markets, it's clear that readers are happy to be back in the Age of Hyboria. Now, Marvel is pleased to announce that more characters from the mind of Conan creator Robert E. Howard will be making their way to the Marvel Comics. True believers should keep an eye out for the likes of Dark Agnes, Solomon Kane, and a few more surprises in upcoming Marvel books. Details on where you can follow the adventures of these exciting new additions to the Marvel Universe will be revealed at a later date, so stay tuned to Previews World for more information.
Yeah, as someone who's a big Solomon Kane fan, like I've always liked that character. Like a lot of people are like, oh, are they going to put out Cole? Because that's another Robert E. Howard one. Solomon Kane's my jam. Like I've always thought Solomon Kane was cool.
Well, your time is now.
And my time is now.
He's coming.
Yeah, and they had a comic. Actually, I think some of the artwork we showed was from the comic in the '80s. But yeah, it'll be really interesting to see like an update of that because like they put out a movie for him like a few years ago. But never caught fire, so like I'm glad to see that the character's going to get some more stories.
Nice.
That's a good one.
For sure. Last but not least, the unlikeliest villains in the DC Universe are back in their grittiest incarnation yet, as DC announced plans for an all-new Suicide Squad ongoing series, also scheduled for this December. This new version of Task Force X, written by Tom Taylor with art by Bruno Redondo, is already full of changes, including new villains. The squad's new mission is to neutralize a new group of international super-terrorists known as the Revolutionaries, and not everyone on either side will make it out alive. The 40-page debut issue of Suicide Squad is scheduled to release December 18th.
Yeah, that's well, actually, no, it's funny too. This past week, I think James Gunn he announced the cast for Suicide Squad. I mean, we kind of knew who they were,
right?
But like, yeah, it was cool to see like all the listed names.
Yeah.
So I imagine this is arriving in time to kind of like get ahead of that. But also, actually, we neglected to mention earlier in the show, we actually are giving away a Harley Quinn, speaking of Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
So stay tuned because after the toy section of the show, we're going to do a giveaway. If you're a Harley Quinn fan, you might want to check it out. Also, wasn't in the news, but Daniel Warren Johnson, who did Murder Falcon, is doing a Wonder Woman comic.
Oh, cool.
And I'm very curious about this.
Yeah.
Like they're promising some sort of like, basically Diana goes into like hibernation of some sort and then comes back out and she's in this post-apocalyptic world.
Oh,
and I'm like, yes.
Give to me this book.
Yeah, like and on top of that is Daniel Warren Johnson, so I'm all for it.
That
like,
sounds awesome.
Yeah, I just wanted to give that a shout out because like we couldn't fit it into the news because we tried to cap it at 4.
But noteworthy.
That's a good one. That's a big one. But now it's time for Toy Chest. Natasha's here and she's going to show us what's inside the previous Toy Chest this week, and when we come back, we'll do a giveaway. How about that?
Hey Previews World, Natasha here to give you a look inside the previous toy chest. Let's find out what's at comic shops for the week of September 18th, 2019. Want to see more? Be sure to check out Talking Toys, our weekly show that spotlights new collectibles on their way to your friendly local comic shop. Just head over to PREVIEWSworld.com/talkingtoys to find out more.
And like with our comics, that's just a little bit of what's available. If you want to see a full list of what you can get at your shop this week, head on over to PREVIEWSworld.com/toychest for a full list of toys. So, that was a bunch of fun stuff.
It's a lot of Batman.
A lot of Batman.
But
there's always a lot of Batman.
There's always a lot of Batman.
But it's okay.
Yeah.
It's Batman season.
It is, actually.
It's Batman year.
It's Batman Day.
Batman.
Yeah, just Batman in general. Who are you? Batman.
Batman.
I gotta say though, the Murder Machine. I swear, you just slap Tron on anything.
It makes it that much better.
10 times cooler. And I know that technically that's not Tron, but
No,
clearly
but
it was inspired by Tron.
Yeah, exactly.
And I low-key kind of want that now.
It's a cool figure.
Yeah.
That's definitely a cool figure.
Never played Kingdom Hearts a day in my life, but when I saw those Tron figures, I was like, I kind of want it. Apparently it is. Like, I have a lot of friends who play it, and they're like, it's an addiction. Like, it's a rabbit hole.
You're either in or you're out, man.
Yeah.
Stay out.
I can't fake geek girl my way through that one.
No.
No. I won't even try.
No, me either. I never played it.
Right.
And yeah, no.
Also, actually, speaking of video games, Borderlands.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the Borderlands 3 game just came out, so it doesn't make
perfect timing.
Makes perfect timing for these guys to drop.
Right. Yeah.
They look pretty darn good too.
I actually crashed at my friend's house this weekend. I went to Small Press Expo, and he was closest instead of driving home.
My roommate went to that.
Yeah. And oh, really? Yeah. And I crashed at my friend's house this weekend, and he was like, I was like, is it all right if I just crash on your couch and then I'll just leave in the morning or whatever? And he was like, oh yeah, I'm just playing Borderlands all day. I was like, okay.
Sounds about right.
All right, sure.
Yeah. Roommate's been doing that too.
Yep, that's how that works. Well, inside joke, I got that one. But we do have a giveaway.
We do. As usual, in some capacity, we have a toy.
Yes, we do.
And this week it is Suicide Squad Harley from Diamond Select Toys, DC Gallery stuff.
Yeah.
Right? It's a very pretty figure, actually.
Actually, yeah.
And like super detailed, good accessories.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh, I got to give them credit. Diamond Select Toys, and this isn't like a shameless plug or anything. Their faces have gotten better.
Good.
They've gotten much better. Like, yeah, whatever sculpt they're using.
Yeah, people can get that wrong very easily.
Yeah, very easily, and they've been really solid.
She looked good.
She looked good.
She looked very good. So, if you all out there want to win this lovely lady, comment on Facebook and YouTube, wherever you're watching. Do you consider Harley Quinn to be a villain or a hero?
Oh, look at that.
We want to know.
That's $1 million question,
It is
isn't
$1 million question.
Yeah.
Or somewhere in between, which I think is probably my opinion.
I think that's fair. Yeah, you say somewhere in between?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I can understand that.
So yeah, let us know, and we'll take entries until next week, and one of you can win her.
Can win one of these.
And of course, we have the winner of last week's giveaway, which was the Mezco 112 Collection Punisher figure, right? Another big fancy figure for sure. And our winner is Helios 3D, who answered our question of what your favorite Punisher storyline is with Punisher 2099. I remember a female Punisher appearing named Vendetta. It was a whoa factor for me when I was a kid.
Nice. I actually forgot about that, actually. So yeah, I really appreciated that that callback. I was like, oh yeah, they did do that. That's right. I forgot about that. About Punisher 2099, but also Vendetta on top of that. It completely So yeah, shout out to you, man. Good job. You've won a John Bernthal of your very own. How about that? So actually, we do a segment every month called Mangapedia. Well, I think the previous month we didn't really do it, but we do it every month. We usually do it every month, and the point is to kind of give you a 101 on the important bits of manga, and just playing catch up. And it's really cool because I get to learn a few things because I work with it. I work on it with Anime, and we just kind of it's an information dump. It's just a lot of cool stuff.
For sure.
And I bring all that up is because you mentioned Frank Miller earlier during the news, and it just so happens that one of his main inspirations was the subject of Mangapedia this month. So check this out. Anime is going to tell you all about the master of modern manga.
Hey Previews World, and welcome back to the Mangapedia, our ongoing exploration of Japanese comics. This particular episode is a somber but important one, as we remember the life and numerous contributions of Kazuo Koike. Koike passed away this past April, but we couldn't let another month go by without acknowledging one of the most important figures in the world of manga. Koike's signature was Lone Wolf and Cub with artist Goseki Kojima. Originally published in the 1970s inside Weekly Manga Action, Lone Wolf and Cub was key in shifting manga from a mostly children's medium into one embraced by teens and adults. He also had a counterintuitive approach when compared to other manga creators of the time. Need an example? Compare Lone Wolf and Cub to another title featured in Weekly Manga Action, Lupin III. Lupin III's creator, Monkey Punch, went for a modern-day, fun-loving crime series, one starring a troublemaking hero that effortlessly appeared to rebellious late 60s youths. Lone Wolf and Cub, on the other hand, starred Ito Ogami, a samurai living centuries ago within a now-vanquished social order. He was stoic, old school, and a dad. Ogami and his son were also rebels and vagabonds, fighting against a corrupt power structure that had marked them for death. Lone Wolf and Cub proved to resonate despite its lack of a modern backdrop. The series had been credited with broadening the reader base for manga in Japan during the early 70s, in many ways paving the way for the format's widespread acceptance today. Koiki's outreach to new generations didn't just stop there. The writer was an educator who taught manga as something you must write, not only draw. Koiki was the personal teacher of Ranma Half's Rumiko Takahashi, Vampire Hunter D's Hideyoki Kokichi, and others. But Lone Wolf and Cub wasn't done breaking new ground. Years later, in 1987, it became the first manga series to be published monthly in English. Then, in 2000, Dark Horse released the entire series straight to graphic novel, a publishing approach that would become the industry standard. You can discover more about Koiki by visiting your local comic shop. There you can discover other works by the author, titles like Crying Freeman and Lady Snowblood. Speaking of more manga, every month we give away a manga prize pack to our viewers. So, this month's question is, what magazine was Lone Wolf and Cub originally published in? Comment below and let us know. Good luck, and be sure to follow Previews World for more Mangapedia and more chances to win.
Hi, I'm Russell. I'm just your average middle school student. Totally normal in every way. Except I have algae for hair and embarrassing vines growing all over me. And, oh yeah, there's a frog living in my giant tree trunk arm. The kids at school call me Swamp Kid. This is my spiral notebook. I like to write and draw about my friends and our adventures. Just don't share it with anyone. There's some top secret stuff in here, but I'll let you take a look, since we're friends.
That was The Secret Spiral of Swamp Kid, and before that we gave you a Mangapedia installment, and you can catch Mangapedia every single month. Just check out our YouTube channel, and yeah, Mia hosts them all the time, and I think the next one is actually going to be the various genres in manga, and like the way that they classify genre is very different than how we classify genre. So yeah, just educational stuff, just cool, fun stuff.
Yeah, I like
and
it too.
yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, I actually really like writing those because like it really forces me to kind of like understand the manga world a little bit more.
A little out of your box.
Yeah, right, exactly. Outside of my box. And I've read manga before, but
Sure, but it's not your thing.
it's not my thing.
Yeah.
And so I think it slowly is becoming my thing now. Like I'm kind of into it. I'll dial that back because I don't want people like, oh yeah. No, I within reason, but it's still very interesting, and I kind of
You're becoming more interested.
I'm becoming more interested. I love it, and I respect it. So there you go.
Awesome.
And also in terms of Secret Spiral of Swamp Kid, that is actually a middle grade book.
Oh, cool.
So definitely something to check out. Like it's of course based on Swamp Thing. You know, if you're, I mean, when I was in middle school, yeah, sure, you would hand me Alan Moore's Swamp Thing, but you know, at the same time, this is something that's a little bit more digestible, not so esoteric, and so like, and also I think it's a little bit more relatable for kids in middle school. So definitely check that out. That's coming up at your local comic shop.
Absolutely.
And we're almost done here.
That's true.
What else do we got? A comic shop shout out?
We do.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to have your local comic shop shout it out on the show, let us know what they are. Use the hashtag #SupportYourLCS, and they could get a feature. This week we're doing something a little different.
Yeah.
We're going to be showing you photos from Day of Dread, which was a couple weekends ago, and that's courtesy of 2000 AD. It was an event around the world, right? So it's shots from a bunch of different stores and stuff.
Right. And actually, they went all out, which I thought was really cool. Like we had a hand in like kind of like assisting the promotion of it. I of course was really excited about it because I'm a big Dread fan. But like yeah, it was cool to see that. I think initially I was kind of under the impression it would mostly be like UK stores that would be handling it, and European stores mostly would be handling it. But it turns out that like they did a little bit of something here too as well. So a few big shops actually did Dread Day stuff. They had Alex DeCampi and a couple other people show up and do signings and like hang out with people. So yeah, check this out. It's 2000 AD and Dread and Day of Dread. So and I guess that's it.
Yeah.
So bye. This has been Previews World Weekly. I'm one of your hosts, Troy Jeffrey Allen.
And I'm Thea, and we'll see you at the spinner rack.
Thanks for watching Previews World Weekly. If you like the show, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future episodes.